everyone, my name is Phil and welcome to Phil Does 3D. I'm a multimedia and 3D artist and I stream on Twitch weekdays from 5 PM Pacific time in the United States, 10 AM in Australia and 1 AM in the UK. Sorry about last week, guys. I wasn't feeling the best. There's been like a flu going around here in Australia, particularly in Melbourne, and while I didn't get the flu, I had headaches and yeah, just wasn't really up to streaming, so my apologies for not being on last week. But I'm back now and we can continue on with where we left off from the week before last. Let's see, we're creating an Art Deco building in the Unreal Engine 4.17.1. We're going to do a cinematic fly-through of an outside environment, then inside of the Art Deco building, and then back out again. We'll put all that to a soundtrack and just add a couple of sound effects and create a cinematic that way. Last week we were working on our Art Deco building. I may just quickly play the video of the environment, just because OBS, if I try and run the environment in Unreal in real time here of the outside, OBS drops frames. I've logged a bug on the OBS bug tracker, but we'll see if anything changes. OBS devs seem to think it's not a problem with the software. They may be right, they may be wrong. I don't know. I don't know OBS that well. I only know how to use it. So what I'll do is I'll play this video, which has they're just still shots of the environment, so they're not moving, but our final environment will actually be fully animated and moving and all that sort of good stuff. Hey Sniper Echo, good to see you. Sorry again, like I said about last week, guys, I wasn't well. I think all of burning the candle at both ends for as long as I did was a bit of a problem. Yeah, no, headaches and overtime are not a good thing, Sniper Echo, you're exactly right. What can you do? Like I said, it's great the studio has so much work, but I've really got to make sure I don't take on more than I can. But I'm good now. I'm feeling fit as a fiddle, 100%, so we can continue on. And what I'm going to do with my schedule, guys, it's not going to change. It's still going to be every Monday, Tuesday. That's a given. And I had to stop Wednesdays because of my work schedule, which is starting to slow down a bit now. But I won't resume Wednesdays until I can update my my broadband, because as I've been saying, the Australian government are rolling out something that they call the National Broadband Network, NBN, which is going to increase my speeds dramatically, so it'll allow me to stream at 1080p as opposed to 720p, which I do at the moment. So what I'll do is I'll resume Wednesdays when the NBN is rolled out. Now it's due to start from the 29th of this month for where I live, but this is the NBN being run by the government here, so I'm not counting on that date. Things are often delayed with the government here. So as soon as I can get the NBN, I'll up my schedule again to include Wednesdays, but until then it's definitely every Monday, Tuesday, unless I'm sick like last week when I can't do it, but my schedule generally doesn't change, as you guys know. So yes, that was our environment. They were still shots. It will be fully animated, blowing in the wind, all that sort of good stuff in our final cinematic. Blah, blah. Let's jump into Unreal here. Now last week we were working on this bay window. We were just getting that set up. So we have our leather cushion here and a couple of pillows, so we don't have to worry about this bay window now. We've got that sort of pretty much done. A flicker from beyond, good to see you. And thank you, yes, I am feeling better. Thank you very much. It's unusual. It's the first time I've been a bit unwell for a couple of years, actually. I'm generally pretty fit most of the time. Yeah, but I think just burning the candle at both ends and taking on a lot with the studio was just a bit much. But I'm fine now. I'm good. But yeah, again, sorry guys for last week. It couldn't be helped. I really wasn't up to streaming. I couldn't do it. I spent most of the week actually asleep, to be honest with you guys. I was asleep all day, woke up for a couple of hours, had something to eat, went back to bed all night, and did that for 2 or 3 days. So but I'm feeling good now. And it's good to see you guys. All right, yes, so last week, not last week, the week before, we were working on our bay window here. So we've done that. We can move on. This room only needs to have furniture and plants and things placed in it. The downstairs is the same. Well, that eye adaptation. We really only need to place furniture and plants down here, and a rug, and 2 statues as well. We'll call those furnishings though, because we leave that till the end. This room is pretty much done. Sniper Echo says we need to convince the studio to let you stream some of your work, and that way you get more done, and we have some fun. Yeah, I'd love to be able to show you guys some of the stuff I work on at the studio. The studio work is very different to what I show you here on stream, because we do a lot of stuff with mining companies, like I say, and my area within the studio is heritage sort of buildings, so I do a lot of photogrammetry on heritage buildings. Johnny B. Cat. If I butcher your names, guys, your usernames, forgive me, it's just me. What tool is this? This is Unreal Engine UE4 .17.1. Crosswind, good to see you too. Thank you, Crosswind, I'm glad. Well, hopefully by the time we've got everything, all the furniture and plants in, it'll help to bring the building to life a little bit more. It looks a bit sterile at the moment. Johnny B. Cat, okay, cool. So yes, no, this is the Unreal Engine 4.17.1. Thank you. I'm glad you like it, Johnny. Again, like I said, we're working on room by room, going through the building. Once we're finished doing all of the assets for the interior of the building, then we will be taking it into, then we will be placing furniture and plants, and then we're going to be creating a cinematic. So if we just jump outside, because some of you guys may, Johnny looks new to the channel, I don't know if he's seen the actual environment we're working in. We'll just quickly jump through that, and I'll keep an eye on OBS because, like I said, it really hates the environment here in Unreal. Oh, jump. So we're going to be starting our cinematic here at the front of the building. Again, all of our trees are fully animated, wind animated, but I can't turn it on because of OBS. But we will certainly have everything animating in our final cinematic. So we'll come through our gate, we'll go along our path here. We'll probably have a few, I don't know, panning shots with our camera in our cinematic. We'll work all that out when we start setting the cameras up. So we're going to go through our entryway until we get to our building. We will probably be doing a bit of a sweep around the building until we come to the main entryway. No, thank you. My screen is not frozen, no. No, it's not. Is it frozen for you, Johnny? Guys, is my screen frozen for any of you other people watching? I don't actually monitor my stream, so apart from OBS here. Do let me know, guys, if my stream is frozen for you, but it seems to be good on my end. I'm not dropping any frames or anything. Yeah, let me know. No, things are still working on your end, Crosswind. Cool. Looks good on your end too, Flicker from Beyond. Yeah, you may be having a problem, Johnny. Everyone else seems to be okay. Oh, and thank you for the follow, Johnny, as well. Yeah, go to the web Twitch. Yeah, I've noticed actually recently there's been a couple of problems with me being able to watch Twitch on if I'm using Edge in Microsoft Windows. So I generally use Chrome. Yeah, no, as Crosswind says, he's noticed sometimes Twitch stops streaming for some, yeah, and for some reason. I agree, it has. They've been having a few problems with their website. I think because they're integrating that extensions thing, you know, where you can have live overlays. A broadcaster can put live overlays on their stream. Are you back? Cool. And everything's running, Johnny? And again, Johnny, if you didn't catch me before, thank you very much for the follow. I do appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, I think it's a problem on Twitch's end. There's been a few people complaining about it on Reddit. The other problem with a lot of people too is that their viewer count isn't accurate either. Twitch's viewer count for channels isn't updating properly. It is what it is. They'll fix it eventually, I'm sure. Oh, you hit F5 and it works, Johnny? Cool. Yeah, so if my stream freezes, guys, it's not me. Like I said, I monitor OBS over here, and I'm not dropping any frames. Everything looks good. I'm in the green at 30 frames a second, 720p. So just refresh your browser if you're using a browser, or if you use it on the mobile. They generally refresh that as well, I guess. It looks like our transcoding options are sticking. Well, they're still around at the moment. So if you're having a problem, maybe drop the transcoding down from 720p. Using the Windows app. Oh, okay, cool. I do remember too, Johnny, if you want to, I'm on Twitch to encourage you guys to do 3D. And I love looking at the work that you guys do. Now, unfortunately though, if you're not a subscriber to my channel, you can't post a link in Twitch chat, but you can join the Phil Does 3D server and you can post links in the general chat there, and I can check your work out that way and we can show it on stream if you so want. So that's the Phil Does 3D server. If you type !server in chat, in Twitch chat, you'll get an invite link to join that server if you want. That's on the Twitch desktop app, guys, not Discord. You think the Windows app is working as well? Cool, yeah. Again, yeah, that's right. If you follow that link, Johnny, you can join the Phil Does 3D server, and in the general chat on the server, you can post links to your heart's content. If you've got any work you want me to look at or anything like that. Remember, guys, if you've got any problems with any 3D you're doing, and if I can help, I'm happy to try. So feel free to pop into chat and ask me. And don't pretend to know everything, but I'm willing to give it a go if I can. I'm just looking at what's going on here. It may just be... oh no, it's okay. I was looking at the top wood here and it looked a bit white. I thought it may not have loaded the texture in, but I think it's just maybe reflection. So yes, getting back to what we were talking about. Yeah, so our environment is done. I am going to do a final pass on the environment once we're finished doing the interior before we start setting up the cameras for the cinematic, just to make sure everything looks good and there's no areas we can improve upon or fix up. Again, like I said, everything will be fully animated in the final cinematic. I just have that turned off at the moment. Again, the fog as well. The fog value needs to be changed. It's too high at the moment, which is particularly noticeable inside the building. I will be adjusting that, but we'll do that at the end once we've finished creating our interior here for our building. And I'm also going to be using the new fog that Epic introduced with 4.17 of the engine, which is, I don't remember exactly what they call it, but it's like a volumetric fog. It's very nice, makes things look super nice. It's not turned on at the moment. Again, we'll turn that on at the end. It'll be something for us to wait to look forward to once we've done everything, and we can, before we start setting up our cameras, we can turn all that sort of good stuff on. So that's the plan of action. And I'm going to try and get through the rest of the project as quickly as I can. I like to take my time, guys, simply because I want to make sure I do a good job. I don't like to rush things, but this project has been going on for a couple of months now, probably 3 months or so. I do want to get it done before Christmas because I want to move on to showing you guys photogrammetry. We're going to work on another model in 3D Studio Max like we did with the Baroque Garden Terrace, which was a project before this one. So I want to show you some texturing again in Mari, and then we want to do some final beauty renders in Eon View, which is like we did for the Garden Terrace. So I want to move on to that project because I'm I really do want to show you guys photogrammetry. It's a really useful tool if you're a 3D artist. It'll really help you in your workflow to get photorealistic models into your game engine, into your renders, whatever it is you're doing. It's useful for all different sorts of things. Like I was saying, LucasArts, the latest game that from LucasArts, the Star Wars game, they use photogrammetry a lot in that, and that's why the game looks great. I don't know if it's been released yet, but it was showcased at one of the game expos about 6 or 12 months ago. And the reason it looks so realistic and so good is because they use a lot of photogrammetry. And again, photogrammetry is really good to get photorealistic models and textures into your levels or into your renders. So I do want to show you guys that. Again, what we're doing here with the interior of the building, because the exterior has a lot of movement because of the wind animation on all of the trees and the grass. The interior is going to look a bit stale unless we add some animation. So we're adding animation here. If I turn real time on and watch OBS drop its frames, on things like these hanging lights, we're using physics so that they sort of rotate. Actually, I'll turn that on here. They rotate and swing just a little bit. It's probably most noticeable if I look at the wall. Where am I? It's very subtle. I didn't want them swinging around wildly. If we look at the shadow on the wall, you'll notice that eventually it just starts to move. It just takes physics a couple of seconds to sort of engage. You've always got to keep an eye on this physics too, because every time you update the engine from Epic Games, they make tweaks to physics, and sometimes it can mess the physics up a bit. Like at the moment, they don't look like they're rotating much to me. And I did a point update, a hotfix update. So again, we'll go through that at the end once we've got all our furniture in and see if we need to tweak our physics a little bit more. Let's just stop that and go up to the main chandeliers. So if we go up here to our main room, we'll probably get a better idea of what the physics is going on with these chandeliers here. So if I just turn that back on again and watch OBS. Yeah, you get a better idea with the chandeliers here. They're moving just a little bit more than those small lamps. So all they're doing is slightly swaying in the breeze, and there's a slight turn to them as they sway as well, very slight. I don't want them spinning around. And I'm doing things like that, just introducing a little bit of physics, just to add a bit of life to the interior. Again, we're going to be placing plants in here, and some of the plants are wind animated, so we're going to have some of them moving. That'll help to create a bit of life as well. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see these chandeliers moving just a little bit, like move in a little bit. There we go. Maybe if I get closer, you can see they're just slightly swaying. Okay, again, I'm just going to stop physics here so OBS doesn't freak out. So I noticed it dropped down to 20 frames per second. Again, the chandelier glass here, the crystal is actually refracting correctly in the background. If you notice that the door panel here is being distorted by the glass. And I've done that simply because we're probably going to bring our camera and our cinematic close like that to take advantage of that, to show people it is actually glass, or crystal. If you weren't going to get close to the camera though, you probably wouldn't need to worry about creating a shader that's an accurate shader like that. You could get away with fudging it using opacity. Unless you're going to get close to it like we are. Because the shader for the glass is quite complex and will slow the engine down a little bit, as opposed to using just opacity, but the effect is nice. It's the same thing we're doing actually for the glass windows on the building itself. They're all using physically accurate glass as well. Okay, so we've done our bay window. We're going to move on to that back section here, because last week we were working on this section. We want to finish doing this. And remember guys, I was saying I really want to put a skylight up here, a window, because having light spilling down the walls would really look really good for this part of the room. And originally I said, oh, I won't do it because I really want to get this section done and blah, 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 blah. But me being me, I can't leave anything, like, if I have an idea for something and I can't stop myself, basically. So we are going to do it. What we're going to do first though is we're just going to finish off some of the paneling, and then we're going to take all this roof. So we'll start by moving this curtain to the other side of the window, to the other side of the room, sorry. Are these included? Yep, okay. So I'm just going to duplicate it. We'll move it in, we'll do a rotation of 180 degrees. And trust me, it won't take us that long to do the roof, because I did a little bit of modelling work over the weekend, so it shouldn't take us too long. Let's just get this into the right spot here. Okay. Yeah, that wasn't too painful, didn't take us too long. Again, we've created a blueprint here, which is like a prefab of different assets so that we can easily move it around the building. It just helps to speed up your workflow quite a bit. The other thing I want to do here is take this plaster ceiling piece and duplicate it as well. And we'll move it over. Looks like this part of the ceiling is a little bit bigger than the other side, so we'll just scale it up. Okay, let's take a couple of these plaster panels for the walls and duplicate them for the other side. I'm going to stop these panels. I have a couple of options. I can scale them down and take them right to the edge of the wall, or I can stop them here at the overhang and we can do something a little bit more interesting with the wall in there, which is what we're going to do. So I'm just going to make sure these panels fit this piece of the wall here between the door frame and that overhang. Let's scale it out just a little bit more. Let's duplicate them for the other side. Actually, we may get away with just one panel over on this side. I think two will be too big. Let's see. I always have to make sure I have my mic unmuted. And don't laugh, because I've done it before. I've been streaming, talking away happily, only to notice that my mic has been muted for the entire time. Yeah, so like I said, we could have put them all the way to the edge of the wall like that. But I want to do something a bit more interesting for these overhang, the wall under the overhang. So I'm going to remove one of these panels. And we're going to scale this one up. Maybe just a little bit less. And we're going to pull in some of the wooden paneling from the walls here. I think that'll look more, that'll help to tie this section of the room into the outside there, and so we can reuse an asset we've already got. Let's rotate that at 180 degrees so we're facing the right way. Because the back section is flat, we've only actually got three-dimensionality on the front of the door here, of the panel. If I sort of move around here, you can see the actual the framing, which on the back is just completely flat. So yeah, let's move that back. Move it down. Again, I'm doing this in the perspective viewport, but you'll probably find it easier to work in the orthographic top, front, side sort of viewports to do this sort of stuff. It's less interesting for you guys to watch, so I do it in the perspective. Because it's what Twitch is all about. It's all about seeing things, not looking at wireframes. So let's scale this up a bit. Okay, and let's duplicate it for the other side. I'm going to scale this one in just a little bit because this overhang isn't as wide as the other side. The roof here doesn't hang out as much as the other side. Just going to make sure I'm not going through my wall out here. That should be fine. Alright. And that just helps to give us a little bit more interest here around the window. And again, like I said, it helps to tie this part of the room into that part of the room. Because we're always trying to make sure when we design a building interior particularly that everything blends. Which is why I keep harping onto you guys, don't use a million textures just because you can. You want to try and reuse the same types of textures over and over again on different parts of the model. Number one, to save memory. Number two, just for visual, it makes everything look more natural and realistic. When you design the interior of your house, you're generally not going to use 20 different types of fabric on your cushions and that type of thing. So. And you can, and if you want to do it that way, hey, go have at it. But generally, you'll get a better looking interior if you try and match things up. All right, so we have to tackle our skylight here. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into max. And just get into a position where we can see what's going on here. Back. We're going to jump into max and we're going to look at what we can do with this top roof section here. So let's do that. Let's jump into max. Now this is what I've created for the roof. I'm just going to highlight one of these so max has something to lock on to as we do our rotation. And if I rotate down here and pull back a little bit, you can see what we've got going on here. We've got a wooden border here that's just above the door frame. Then we're going to use just different paneling for the sides of the wall, and then we're going to have a window here at the top that opens out. We'll put glass in here and we'll make it look pretty from the other side. What I'll probably end up doing is spreading some dead leaves in the corners or something. We'll work that out in a minute. But we need to texture these up because these aren't textured. Now I just want to explain what's going on here with these side panels. If I can get here where we can see them. Now these side paneling, what I've done here is I've reused what we already created, if I can get Max to pull out properly, for our stairs, which are here. You remember when we created our steps in for Unreal, for that building? If we jump back into Unreal, we can jump down there and have a look. Here, we created these steps and they have this, it's a little difficult to see because this area isn't lit correctly yet. But we have these steps that have that pattern going on in them. We can sort of just see it here. It'll be more noticeable, maybe if we look down here we can see it too, once I get a few more lights going down in this part of the building. So we want to, I'm reusing that, number one, so we can save on texture memory, and number two, to try and just, again, to blend the different parts of the building together. So it looks like it's all part of one building. So let's jump back into Max again. So yeah, we're going to be using the, reusing the pattern we created for the side of the step here, which I've just duplicated and pulled a piece out. And I'm using that for the actual paneling along the sides of the window here. It'll look better once we get it textured up, once we get the actual panels textured up. So let's start doing that, shall we? Let us again get into a position where we can see what's going on. Again, these are really simple shapes that have been created in Max. That just uses an array to get the positioning between them all correct. So they're all the same distance apart. Again, I altered a couple of them just here and there to make them a little bit more natural. Nothing is ever completely perfect in the real world. Things will get knocked or moved or old and drop, and so I've just made a couple of corrections on a few of them here and there. Again, you guys that are regulars to my channel know about how that all works. Just a sec, my phone is going off, guys. Know how that works, how anything... the actual... Again, let's jump back into Unreal. The gates here are a good example. Of the fences, I should say. If I jump around to the front here and we look at our fence line. Let's have a look here. You see, I've purposefully pulled one of the railings out. They're not all exactly the same height. Some of them are a little bit shorter than the others. If we look closely, a couple of them have been bent, so they're not completely straight. They're on a bit of an angle, just here and there. Don't go nuts. Just a little bit here and there will help to make the object look more realistic. So everything is not perfect. There are a couple of imperfections to add realism to the object, and the fence is a good example of that. Like I said, where a couple of them are missing, a couple of them are shorter than the others, and a couple of them are slightly bent. They're not completely straight. Okay, let's jump back into Max again. So I've done a similar thing here with our with the pattern that's going on along the bottom of this border. Let's start at the bottom and work our way up. So let's go with our border here. I've already UV mapped it, so you don't have to watch me do the boring task of unwrapping and UV mapping. Well, let's export it as an FBX file so we can import it into Substance Painter and paint it up. I've just got my own subfolder called Skylight, makes it easy for me to find everything. Again, I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time in Substance Painter painting these pieces up, because we do want to move on with the building as quickly as we can. Okay, well, let's start with the border before we start exporting the rest of these pieces. Now let's jump into Substance Painter and create a new project. Alright, let's just turn it around so we're looking at it from the right angle here. And again, what I've done here is I've softened up the edges of this as well, because as I was saying to you guys, I really hate a hard edge on anything. It's not natural. So in Max, I have just softened these edges up a little bit. And just a chamfer to soften them up, so they're not a complete 90-degree angle. It's important. And it's, again, my regulars know it's something I bitch about all the time. Make sure you don't have hard edges on things that shouldn't be hard. Well, perfectly 90-degree edges anyway. You know, if we're talking about a knife blade, maybe not. But if we're talking about things like this, always. Now we want to make sure we keep consistency, and we want to keep the same cherry color wood that we're using right throughout the building. So the cherry colour that we've used on all of our banisters and all that sort of thing, we want to keep that colour going up here. So I created a smart material inside of Painter that we're going to apply, and that just makes sure that we have the same, because I did some colour correction on the actual default cherry wood colour. It just makes sure that we keep the same colouring throughout the entire building. So let's load up that smart material. My cherry wood, that's the one we want. I'm just going to remove this layer at the bottom because we're not using it. Open up our smart material, and you see it's just a cherry wood colour with a lighter colour underneath, a more yellow wood underneath, cherry wood on top with an alpha mask. And the alpha mask, if we can pull in here, if I can get in to see it, is just creating this weathered, antique-y looking weathering to the wood, just so it breaks up the wood a bit, doesn't make it so it doesn't look quite so completely pristine and new. It's aged. What I'm going to do though is I'm just going to check that the tiling is correct for this asset. So let's check that. I'm going to turn off lock here so I can adjust the UV scale separately. I may also play with the offset a little bit, see if we can get a pattern that I like better than that. Go back to 0 there, it's not the way I want to go, I want to go the other direction. I think I prefer that pattern, so that's all good. The only other thing I want to do here though is I do want to go in now and just do a bit of distressing to the edges here and there. So let's select our alpha mask and select our brush that I love to use as dirt brush, dirt 2 brush I should say. Pull it back, back, back. I'm not going to do every piece, I'm just going to do a couple here and there. I'm just removing the cherry wood from the top to reveal more of the yellow wood underneath. Jump a bit further down here. Again, I don't have to do every one because that pattern we have going on gives it an aged look overall anyway. These are just like little spots here and there I want to add a bit more wear on.